Guns, a podcast that covers the commentary on the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. Brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network. I'm your host, Jake Challand from Gun Guy Radio, and you make this show possible. That's right, you simply click through our Amazon affiliate link the next time you're shopping online, and a small portion of your sale goes to supporting pro-gun shows like This Week in Guns. Well, we have a great panel this week. We have John Chaos from the Gun Collective and Patton Media Consulting. Hey, John.
Hi, Jake. How are you, buddy?
Doing great. And we have Nate Murr, former U.S. Marine, inventor of the Gripstop, writer for Recoil, and writer for Breach Bang Clear. And something else I'm not going to read. Hey, Nate.
That's like the longest intro you've ever given me. Thanks.
You made it cut it short.
And Peter Palma, former U.S. Marine, inventor of the MS Clean Kits, writer for Recoil magazine, and many other talents. Hey, Peter.
Hey, what's going on?
And Natalie
and my
Foster,
best friend.
Yes.
Friend. You forgot to put it. I forgot to put it. My best friend in the entire world.
We have a love connection here.
Put something like that. Check the show notes.
Natalie Foster, Girls Guide to Guns and Love at First Shots. Hey, Natalie.
Hey, guys. Good to see you again.
Quick announcement here. Bullpup Shoot 2015 is coming right up here. It's 9 days away if you're listening to this live. It's September 19th here in the Chicagoland area in Mount Carroll, Illinois. So hope to see you there. The Firearms Radio Network will have a booth. I think we're going to have some cool items there for you to maybe take home, and bullpupshoot.com for more info. September 19th, put it on your calendar. That's a Saturday, so hope to see
if that
you there.
Wasn't 12 hours away, I would be all about it.
You're just saying that. Patriot Patch Company makes this show possible. Check out the Huckleberry Patch pre-order and the Firearms Radio Network t-shirt pre-order. patriotpatch.co. Let's get right into the top stories this week. And don't forget to stay tuned for the full auto news segment, because I think we have one of the largest selections of stories in that segment we've ever had. So that may actually weigh a little more heavy than the top stories.
It's going to be amazing.
Here. Yeah, good stuff. Gun sales spike in August after shootings. FBI data suggests second biggest August in NICS background checks on record. Over 1 million background checks. Almost 2 million. 1.745 million. So
I'd like to see what the second highest was. You know, if that was back in 2013, after everybody was freaking out and you couldn't get any guns. If that was higher, or if this is really that much higher than everything else. It's pretty interesting. I think it's a natural progression. People hear about bad things happening and they want to protect themselves, so they go out and buy freedom delivery devices.
That, and with each passing month, the closer we get to Hillary being our new overlord, I think you're going to see this trend.
Okay. Not happening. Not happening.
She's going to win. She has to.
No, man. I can't. La 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 la. I can't. No, but the other cool thing about this is that it's to me, what this shows us is that it's a sustained growth. You know, we're not having these dramatic fall-offs that were so anticipated. I mean, if we're getting the second highest August ever, and obviously, it has to do with a lot of things in the news. That's just a trend that we always see, but it's really cool that this is continuing. It's not just people who are, it's not necessarily just a knee-jerk thing. It's a sustained long-term growth that a lot of people are wanting to participate in their freedom delivery devices.
Well, and we're seeing more and more people become part of the firearms community. And, I think sales in general on the retail front kind of pick up in the August, September area and then continue to pick up all the way through the holiday season. At least that's what I've been seeing on Amazon. So that could be part of it, too. So there's probably a lot of factors that, come into play here.
Well, go ahead.
I'm sorry, John. John, you probably can confirm this for me. Like, having dealt with firearm sales and monitor that for years from working in gun shops and just being part of the industry. You usually see an uptick at the end of the summer. Towards the end of the summer, people stop going on vacation. They stop selfishly spending money on their families and start buying guns again. So what you'll see is by end of August, September, sales increase as people they settle in. They're like, all right, well, I already went on vacation. I already went to the beach. I already did this and that. So they'll go back to buying firearms. And then, for the sales that you would see in the winter and the summer, you usually see more accessory sales because people want to go shoot, so they buy more ammo and targets and ear pro and stuff like that. And then in the fall, they'd start buying more bigger ticket items like firearms themselves, just because they're buying it for birthday presents, they're getting ready for the holidays, that kind of thing.
It's also hunting season, right? I mean, hunting season is all over my feed on all of my social media pages. So it's people are prepping. I mean, I do think it has to do with some of the high profile shootings that we've seen, but I also think all those factors that you just listed, and then also people are just excited for hunting. I mean, that's been NSSF came out with a report earlier this year that hunting has had a huge surge, and specifically with women, which I think is really, really exciting. And you're getting a whole new demographic of hunters, all these people who are interested in taking care of their bodies and their families in a brand new way, and understanding, how processed some of our, some of the meat is that we're fed, and they want to go out and they want to do it themselves and try it for the first time. So
I agree with you 100%, Natalie, between the self-defense aspect of it and the hunting aspect, and then there's a smaller demographic of that combined. Since that lion tried to kill that poor dentist, a lot of people are buying guns just to defend themselves from lions now.
I mean, that's a totally reasonable thing. I mean, the truth of the matter here is that it's normally the time of the year when like Nate said, we start seeing an uptick in sales. Apparently this year we've had some really strong sales even through the summer. June was 1.5 million NICS checks, and July was 1.6 million. So it's a steady growth, like Natalie was saying, and
woohoo!
It's just Americans understanding that guns are great and fun, and the hunting thing. It's just a culmination of what we've been preaching. People are realizing that this is the American way. This is how you enjoy yourself. Sometimes, it's not for everybody. We don't claim that, but man, is it awesome.
What will be really exciting to me is if in November, December of 2016, after we don't get Hillary Clinton as our overlord, or one of the others that are just really horrible options. Once we do get someone,
Bernie Sanders.
Oh my gosh! You know what's interesting about that? No, I'm glad you brought him up, because what's interesting about that? In West Los Angeles, where I live, basically liberal Mecca, we are seeing more and more. I literally haven't seen a Hillary 2016 bumper sticker or any sort of support for her in months and months. And now what I'm seeing everywhere are Bernie Sanders stickers. I mean, people are so in.
I've never seen a Hillary thing. Maybe because I'm in Louisiana.
You mean those people are finally taking the Obama stickers off their cars?
Well, no. No, please. And I had my W04 sticker on the back of my car for years.
Oh, you're one of those people.
I was, and until, of course, it got vandalized. It got someone literally at a stoplight in West LA got a Sharpie out of their car and scratched out my W04 sticker. No joke. That happened.
Wow.
So, I know. Yeah, man. It's hostile territory.
Wow.
But anyway, it is interesting about the Bernie Sanders. I mean, I'm sure he's super anti-gun. I haven't taken the time to look at his gun politics, but
well,
but it is.
We're going to be talking here in just a couple stories about presidential
candidates,
and who owns guns. But first, Duke researcher, owning a car is 80% riskier than owning a gun.
You mean? Or are you saying just for Duke researchers? That's the way you said it. That's what it sounds like. So all of you Duke researchers listening.
So, yeah, there are 269 million registered vehicles in the U.S. Well, in 2013, these result in 33,000 deaths a year, roughly half of which are drivers. It does not say how many of these vehicles are assault vehicles, but yeah, that's for another story.
There's some really interesting there's some really interesting stats in this article. There's the researcher. His name's Conover. It's spelled 3 different ways in this article, which is interesting. So it says there were 310 million guns in the U.S. in 2009, according to a Congressional Research Service, whoever that is. And they're saying perhaps 350 million by 2013. And these guns result in 33,000 deaths in 2013, of which 64% were suicides, leaving 500 accidental deaths and 11,200 due to homicides. That percentage is really, really low in the comparison to car accidents. It's really interesting.
I mean, if I were going to kill myself, I would definitely want to do it via a vehicle than a gun. Guns, there's really not that much fun. But you could just take your car off a giant ramp, like, wow, and fly through the air and just smash into a building or whatever. I mean,
Peter, this is why we're friends.
This is that's very Thelma and Louise of you, Peter.
Yeah, that was great.
Nate would have to be with you, of course, because you'd need your best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that's only like that exact scenario has almost happened numerous times riding with Peter. Like if somebody said like, "Hey, you can choose between either going back to the Middle East or riding with Peter for a month as he texts everywhere he goes as he drives," I'm like, I'll just go back to Iraq.
So, I live in convertible now, so it's just like the.
Oh God. So there's another statistic here. It says there were 269 million registered vehicles in the U.S. in 2013. These result in 33,000 deaths a year, roughly half of which are drivers. So I guess the passengers die more often, or about the same. Sorry, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, you're right. You're right, Murr. You would be dying. You would be the guy.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get back to the presidential race. Which Republican presidential candidates own guns? There's a, I guess you'd call it an infographic here.
This is the
chart.
I'm sorry. I'm so excited to talk about it. So like the infograph is weird because it says like it has like the name of the person, right? And if they own guns or they don't own guns, and then also like known guns that they own, right? It shows like what they have, right? So it has like a little pictogram for an AR-15, a little pictogram. Like apparently Rick Perry owns a P3AT and nothing else, which is amazing to me.
Everybody else has Desert Eagle.
And then Donald Trump owns the Desert Eagle, right? So like that means that like John Patton and Donald Trump can be homies now. But
I'm okay with that.
My thing is like for Donald Trump, right, as a pictogram, so it's like known guns, one gun, and it's a handgun. I guess it's trying to illustrate it, like, does the person own pistols, or do they own rifles? Do they own both? What kind of rifles do they own? That kind of stuff. So, like, I think about it like this. Like, Donald Trump owns one handgun. Like, seriously, he's like one of the richest guys in America, and he owns one handgun. Like, the dude owns buildings. Like, I own more guns than Donald Trump, but he owns more people and buildings than me. Like if I was that rich, I would have like a field of tanks and awesome things. I would have like name a
guns in it.
Yeah, I would have. I'd build a mansion to keep my guns in.
So
name a gun. I have like 10 of them. Like there's a weird gun. Like I would have like one of every gun in the world because I would have nothing else. What else would I spend my money on?
There is a woman candidate, Carly Fiorina, is that how you pronounce it?
Are you freaking kidding me? You don't know her name?
No, I don't know her name.
Dude, she's awesome. She's awesome.
I don't care.
No, You should, because she's amazing, and she is a staunch defender of our Second Amendment
Let me tell you why she's not amazing. Because this says 6 guns, but they're all owned by her husband. Where's her guns? Why does
where's her?
Oh, guys, this is so easy. She's into like probably her early 60s, right? So she's and she's been very busy for the last few years, and she has not jumped on the bandwagon yet of being a shooter.
You're making excuses for this woman.
Yeah. I'm not making. No, I'm not, guys. The trend, if you understood how women have to work hard. No, hey, not cool, man. Seriously, she is awesome, and she has done awesome things. You should have seen her speech at NRA. She was fantastic, and it's readily available in her campaign. She's got it on her website. She defends the Second Amendment, as staunchly as anybody else would, more so than a lot of the major candidates. But I mean, yes, I want her to own a gun, absolutely. But she respects it and she appreciates why we have it. So, but all that to say though that I do agree that like Donald Trump, that's ridiculous. He's a ridiculous human being. Let's be honest. But
I just don't believe any of this. They got this right. How could they know this?
Well, I think I found my presidential candidate of choice, Jim Gilmore. I have no idea who he is, but apparently he dual wields.
Quadruple wields.
He's got to point out.
He does like the Resident Evil 4 thing. He's got dual shotguns and he stuffs quarters in them.
Well, that's Rick Santorum. He dual wields double-barreled side-by-side shotguns.
Hopefully they're both sawed up. I would like to point
Look at
out
it like
that
this
was sent out by The Telegraph, which is a European, UK news outlet, and that could be why Ben Carson, Rand Paul have no details because maybe they went, get lost.
Yeah.
Bobby Jindal, has guns. He's in Louisiana. He's got to have so many guns. Everybody's got guns.
Right.
Well, look at it like this. Like if you took this exact same list and just took everybody's last name and picture away, and if this was a screen in a video game for a zombie video game, and you had to pick a partner based dude, I don't know, like this Donald guy only has a Desert Eagle, so that might be hard to find ammo as we go across the zombie apocalypse landscape. But this guy Mike's got an AR and a Benelli and a sniper rifle.
Yeah.
So if you choose your candidate based off it being a video game, Mike Huckabee would apparently be the guy to pick.
I don't know Lindsey, which is a dude. Lindsey Graham, which is a dude. He's got an A5, a humpback, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But
the good news is I think we're pretty safe with a lot of these options. Other than Christie it's interesting because Christie has really, I heard him on the radio the other day, Hugh Hewitt, who's my favorite radio host, and he was talking about, he challenged him. He said, look, your gun folks want to hear, what's your story? Why have you been so bad on gun policy? And he said, look, I'm from New Jersey. I'm not bad on guns. New Jersey's bad on guns, and I have to cater to my constituents, which, I think is an interesting perspective. He's not my guy for sure, but I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I think Chris Christie should choke on a hoagie.
Yeah, I don't understand how that guy's even considered a Republican, to be honest with you.
Well, Donald Trump is? I mean, there's another question mark.
I would say Donald Trump is more of a... Yeah, I would say he's more of a Republican than Chris Christie.
Yuck.
Look, Donald Trump might be insane and have a lot of crazy ideas, but he's extremely pro-gun, all the time, and that's not just this election. There's older sound bites of him saying pro-Second Amendment things, and the dude's obviously a capitalist, and I don't know how you can love America and not be a capitalist. So,
yeah, I've got a question for you guys. How do they determine these NRA ratings?
That's a great question.
They probably send you emails in the middle of the night, and then ask you, and then call you while you're driving. It's probably another tactic.
And send you a terrible duffel bag or range bag that you don't want.
They were getting so close.
everybody almost on the list has an A, A minus, A plus, A, and then Chris Christie has a C, and George Pataki has an F. I believe Pataki is from New York. Can somebody confirm that?
Yes, that's correct.
So he's probably awful.com, and Chris Christie is just an atrocious human being.
But he owns a Martini Henry trapdoor.
I was going to say it's
from the.
I know.
No, I mean it's either an
Okay.
It's either an Enfield or a Martini Henry.
NYPD officers fire 84 shots at suspect and miss 83 times.
So sad.
Did anybody else think this was an Onion article?
Yeah.
When you first read it, like I thought it was like. I did not think it was real.
So me and Pete have some mutual friends that are cops up in New York City, and one time we went up there to shoot with them, and it was like the most atrocious thing that we ever did, like that I ever saw. So, like you gotta understand, like most cops like around the country, they don't shoot nearly as much as people think they do. Like most cops will shoot once a year for qualification and then never shoot their gun again. So like 364 days out of the year, they're not shooting their gun. There's only one day that they shoot, and that's qualification day. So like I want to say like I shoot more than like 95 of my cop friends. Like 95% of my cop friends, I shoot more frequently in different styles of shooting than they do. And I say to them, like, I don't understand, because like you have moral responsibility because of your job that like tomorrow you could go out the door and that might be the day that you have to shoot to save somebody's life. Like why would you not want to be as proficient as you possibly can, considering like the risk that's there? But as far as law enforcement shooters go, like I respect like my buddies, and that's a tough job. That's a tough city to do law enforcement in for sure. But it's almost like that New York mentality that like guns are a necessary evil only for our job, so you shouldn't show too much interest in it. It's almost like that carries over even for the NYPD.
It's just hive mind. Everybody lives on top of one another, so the hive starts to get one mind. You know what I mean? Like that's how a lot of big cities are. Everybody starts to think the same way because it just bleeds over. I'd like to point out that the criminal in this case happened to use a 40 caliber Taurus Millennium pistol, which is on recall. That's.
Do you think he knows about the recall?
I hope he does.
All right.
I want to ask about this really quickly. Jake, so question. So where do they go to shoot? I mean, if they wanted to do it on their own time, NYPD officers, since you guys have friends who are out there, like I go up to my home range here in LA, Oak Tree Gun Club, and I mean, most days of the week you run into LAPD, officers who are all, going out there and training either on their own time, or I mean, I've seen a ton of training myself. I've been fortunate enough to watch them, and it's really, really impressive, really cool. And LAPD, I know they. At least when I went a few years ago to watch them train, they were working hard to train against like a Mumbai-style terrorist attack, so that they could all work together. It was really cool. But I mean, that is clearly not happening in New York. I mean, where do they even go if they wanted to do that?
Well, I want to say like that's not to say that they don't have shooters. Like they have like their specialty teams. Like there's, like, I think actually the first city to ever have a SWAT team was New York City. Jim Cirillo. Got in a lot of gunfights, real famous guy. He was one of the first people to help stand up the first SWAT team in New York City. But
you made me read?
I forget the name of the book. It's like
it's a good book.
Guns, Bullets, and Gunfighting. I think it's like anyway. So most, or not most, but a lot of precincts up there, because it's almost like a city inside a city inside a city, just for the volume of people and everything, and the size of how many like areas. Anyway, so a lot of precincts have their own range in the basement of their precinct, so they don't have to try to travel. I know it's a pain for them to try to do any kind of outdoor training, just because there's very few outdoor ranges anywhere near New York. So a lot of it's indoors down in the basement of the police station.
So I got a
That
really
sounds
interesting.
miserable.
I got a text from somebody in the industry, and it says retired cops only have to qualify once a year, but they still retain their national carry status. I thought that was really interesting as well.
Mm-mm.
That's
Why do retired cops have to qualify?
Yeah.
To make sure you're not.
They should have to qualify. I mean,
No. He's saying that like they have national carry status. They can carry anywhere in the U.S., but they are only qualify once a year. I thought that was really interesting.
I mean, how many times a year do you want them to come show that? I mean, they've already been a cop for 30-some years or whatever.
And shot more than what? Like they shot 100 rounds in that entire lifetime as a cop.
Maybe,
You know what I'm saying? Like
that's the problem that Murr didn't hit on. Like New York isn't like a place where you go to shoot firearms. You know what I mean? It's not like there's a lot of people in New York who never even shot a gun before, and they just wouldn't even want to.
New York though. That's every major city in America.
Yeah.
And besides that, I would say that.
Well, how many times do you want them to shoot?
Well, I'm saying maybe 90% of the police officers in the U.S. don't shoot more than 500 rounds a year, and that's sad for that line of work.
Well, I mean, when you take something as your job, right? And a lot of these people, that is their job. You know what I mean? So some people, when you join the Marines, for example, you think, oh, you just picture this dude on a machine gun just like mowing people down with a 50 cal. But there's like the majority of Marines even are like counting shoeboxes or like cleaning tanks or like dentists. There's all these a job. You know what I mean? So like they don't necessarily think it's as cool to, go do this stuff. Once you make your like shooting your job, it's not fun anymore. So like you just spent like 12 hours on shift. You're not going to want to like, oh, let's go down the basement and shoot some, you know what I mean? Like, even though that's probably what you should be doing, you know what I mean? That's not what you want to do. Like, after plumbing for like 12 hours, I'm not going to be like, oh, let me go sweat some copper pipe to make sure I could do it better. No, it's like, you're exhausted and, you don't want to do that. You don't want to be in the place where anybody could come yell at you for whatever reason, It's not like going to shoot for fun. It's your job.
I get it. You're not wrong.
But is there a way though to incentivize? Like, I would really like to see cops be more prepared and not waste 83 bullets on this guy. I would like to. I'd like to see them be better prepared for their own safety. I mean, we're about to get to stories about how there's so many that are victims now, and what we're hearing is that the numbers of cop shootings is going up dramatically. So like, is there a way to incentivize them?
That's your incentive. Maybe if you want to live through your shift, you'll go spend an extra half hour and shoot.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's not an incentive, I don't know what.
Look at how many, like every single time there's a shooting in New York, this is like the exact same headline. Like, wasn't it that long ago that there's a shooting in, I think it was in Times Square like a year or so ago, and they shot more innocent bystanders than they did the bad guy? Like, this is like old news, and like it's not just a New York City problem. It's like a large city with crime problem that's spending the least amount of money possible on their guys. Like, there's departments out there that have quarterly qualifications. So you got to qualify every quarter. So at the very least, like even if it's an easy qual course or like you're a good shooter, like Pete's like, oh, this is lame. I got to qualify. I got to qual for the quarter. You just go and shoot the qual, and then you're done for another 4 months, right? But what it's doing is it's knocking the rust off. You're not going 364 days a year without shooting. Like it's like more range time. And the more range time, the more proficient hypothetically you're going to become over time. That's what I'm saying. It's about frequency of shooting, Pete. It's not like, oh, it's a chore. Like, you can take anything. Like, I never thought that hanging out with my best friends all day and shooting machine guns would be made miserable. But the Marine Corps figured out a way to take hanging out with my best friends and shooting machine guns miserable.
Horrible.
Right? So, like, anything can become a chore. Anything can become a job. But I understand what you're saying, too, Natalie, about, like, an incentive for it. Like, if you go and shoot... Like, but here's the thing, like those law enforcement officers I shot with Pete those years ago, those guys, like, they could go to their precinct and get free ammo anytime they wanted. They could use that range anytime they wanted. But like Pete said, like, you just spent 12 hours on shift, you just want to get home. A lot of them want to take advantage of the opportunities that was there, like the range to use and the free allotment of ammo to use. Like, they just didn't do it because it was just, like, for a lot of cops, carrying a gun is no different than carrying their radio or their badge. It's just part of the uniform. And they're like, well, I'm never going to get in a shooting. That's never going to be me. Like, oh, I'm a cop in Queens where it's nice. I'm not ever going to have to shoot a gun. Like, those guys that are down, like, in the Bronx or Brooklyn, they're the ones that get in the gunfights. I don't have to worry about it. Like, it's that whole, it's never going to happen to me mentality that unfortunately carries over into that line of work as well.
Yeah, I had a friend who was a cop in Chicago, and she would often lament the fact that, they just exactly what you guys were talking about. They'd have to qualify one time a year, and these were, and these were not retired. These were, do you say active duty for police who are currently, on duty cops? So
on the beat.
On the beat. So. So she, formed her own organization, Women's Tactical Association, to be able to do a lot of extra training, and that's another piece. They would do, kind of under stress training, like with flashbangs and stuff like that. And that's another piece that I'm thinking is probably missing here. If they're not able to hit him with 83 rounds. They're
being shot at too. It's a little more difficult.
Right. So that's what I'm saying, though, under stress. So obviously, I've never been in a situation like that, but I'm guessing you guys probably have. So, I don't know how that works, how the body's reflexes work. I've been told about it, but I don't know how that works. So, would you probably? I'm guessing that you would find it to be a pretty essential.
There's some people, even Marines, who have had an immense amount of training where I've seen like one little thing go wrong and they just like put 20 rounds into a door right in front of them, or like just like do all kinds of crazy stuff, or like a whole belt of ammo and they didn't hit nothing or whatever, So it's like it's just a human nature thing too, where it's like somebody's trying to kill you with a gun. They hit the cop car. The guy hit the cop car and broke the windshield. He was popping off rounds at him.
The target doesn't always stand there like a paper robot on the range,
right.
Like a clean silhouette. So like the only thing harder than hitting a stationary target is a moving target, and the only thing harder than hitting a moving target is a moving target trying to kill you. Yeah. But it's not like you're standing there on a square box range shooting at human silhouette, paper robots 25 yards away.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of movement, darkness, like all these different factors go in.
We don't know. It just happened. You could have pulled the gun out and started bam, and all of a sudden there's on a traffic stop. All of a sudden they're in a fight for their life, like instantly. Like they have no plan. Like when you go to shoot, you're like, oh, I'm going to the range, and the day before you pack your bags, everything like this. It's imagine just being in the shower, and I just come in and throw a pistol at you and start shooting at you. Like, good. Let's see how good you are then.
Yeah.
So that's probably what happened, or something similar to that.
See, I think all that's
maybe not similar to that at all, actually.
So I think, like, Pete, I agree with what Pete's saying about, like, I don't like the Monday morning quarterback other people's gunfights when I wasn't there to know exactly what happened. But at the same time, the more proficiency and the more range time and the more you can level up your own skill level prior to that gunfight, the better off you're going to be. Like you're increasing your own combat survivability. You're increasing your own survivability across the board by being more proficient with your firearm before that event comes to you. But like Pete's right, like you don't know when it's going to happen, and like if you know there's going to be a gunfight today, then today's the day to call in sick and not going to work.
Or bring a bigger gun.
Boston mails legal gun owners an official warning and offer to buy their gun. So apparently Boston officials are sending out these notices. Apparently in Boston there's registered gun owners, 8,000 registered gun owners. I'm curious how many total gun owners there are besides that. But it's reminding people that their duty under state law is to report lost or stolen firearms, and the penalties for non-compliance can include a $1,000 fine. And they're also offering Your Piece for Peace.
Good Lord.
Which offers a $200 gift card in return for a gun surrendered to police.
$200 Dunkin' Donuts gift card.
You're gonna get hate mail. This is it. First of all, it netted one gun. So how much did it cost to put all this on? Right. So that didn't work. And it's kind of like there's a dichotomy here where, like, when I sell my guns, unless it's to somebody I know, like, I make sure we do an FFL transfer, only because, like, I don't know necessarily if that person's a felon or not, and I don't want to be responsible to accidentally sell a gun to a felon or something like that. Plus, say he's not a felon and he decides in a year to do something nefarious with the gun, I don't want them to have to come to me first and then go to him. I want it to be like on a record where they can just go, okay, it's there. A lot of people don't like that. When I try and sell guns on the internet, people get like really angry about that. But so there's like a dichotomy between, like, I don't want people to know, like, it's none of the government's business is who's, like, it's crazy that they even mail these people stuff. But I also, it's kind of good to make sure it doesn't fall in the wrong hands, because then we all look bad, us responsible gun owners. So, like, I don't know, I don't want them to know anything about me, or it's none of their business. But at the same time, I don't want crazy people or felons or whatever to have firearms either. So,
yeah, but
weird.
Like, here's the deal, Pete. Like, these are legal gun owners in the city limits of Boston. So, like, if you and me moved to Boston, I'm assuming that means we would have to go, like, register our guns with the police department or whatever. So, like, they're not going after the bad guys here. They're going after the legal gun owners,
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, so, like, here's the deal. Like, if I lived in Boston and I bought a gun and registered it per the local ordinance or whatever, and then I move out of Boston, like, Boston doesn't know the comings and goings of Nate Murr. So if I leave and I move to Pennsylvania, they might not even know I'm gone. So, like, how does that gun get removed from their registry? Like, how do they even know I'm gone with that gun? I've moved out of their state, or I moved out of their city, or I moved to somewhere else. Like, how do they? That's the whole thing. Is like, how does that system even work? Like, to me, it sounds like there's probably a lot of flaws in their system also.
I think this was more not like to try and get people who had guns. It's like they were just trying to, like, spread the word of this, and it was like, well, it was like a mail order thing. It's like if you buy a plane ticket on Delta, you give them your email, and if they have, like, a sale coming up, they, like, email you about their sale. So I think it's more like that than it is like trying to get, people to turn it in legally. I don't know.
I don't think this is
like
designed.
You could email the criminals and be like, hey, give us guns for money.
The gun buyback thing seems like a very secondary thing. Like, hey, if you got a gun you don't want, you can sell it to us for $200. I think the core of this is that they're trying to tell people to stop basically either selling or not reporting quote-unquote lost guns that get into the hands of criminals. Honestly, this sounds like a fluff thing. Like, they're just doing it to make people happy. Like, hey, we told all these legal gun owners that are, selling all their guns to criminals to stop doing that. Like, really? This is the angle you're taking? You're not going to go, I don't know, try and arrest more people? You're gonna harass, this is like the NRA harassment. Hey, we know we have your home address, so we're going to send you a bunch of stupid stuff that's not going to make any difference.
Just reminding you, we know that you got a gun. Don't forget that we know. But, like, here's the thing, like, this is the kind of thing that they should have had as, like, a public service announcement on the city police's website. Like, if you're seeking, like, oh, I have a gun, I don't want it anymore, what should I do with it, right? And, like, you go do a Google search, and then you would find it right away. You know what I mean? Like, it's not something that somebody needs to spend postage on to, like, potentially. I can see how that could be intimidating. Like, if I got a letter in the mail, like, from my local police, like, hey, Nate, we know you got a lot of guns, so if you're ever going to do something, like, just give them, just give them to us, and we'll give you $200 gift certificates. You know what I would be doing? Actually, I would be abusing this. I would go and buy, like, all the crappiest $80 bolt-action 22s, like, I could find to turn for a profit.
Nate,
I'm like, is there a limit to how many?
You could just drive around like
gift cards?
County.
Yeah, I would just drive around Lancaster County and buy $80 single shot 22 bolt actions and for like $80 a pop.
Just
and
roll
then,
up to any Amish farm and go, what for 22s you got? And I pull out this rust bucket of a gun. Hasn't been fired in 20 years. Hasn't been cleaned in 30.
That's the great thing about making fun of the Amish people, because they're never going to listen to this podcast or ever see this. So
that's okay. I would make fun of them anyway.
Hey, they Come on, lay off the Amish. Glock Glock's assistant national sales manager's wife has been sentenced for kickbacks in a conspiracy to, I guess, embezzle or...
Somebody explain. I read it. I don't understand.
I know. I'm a little unclear on what's happening too.
Does anybody know what's happening in this article?
Apparently, it involved a distributor out of Kansas, and also involved the steering of government contracts and sales to government agencies.
We're not allowed to do that because that was like my plan. So it's like my. I mean, how else are you going to do it, right? I mean, I guess these people just got caught.
Okay. In other news,
Good call.
anonymous 911 caller threatens to shoot Colorado cops. So this is pretty creepy. This threat came into 911 and it said, person said, "It is time that you guys know we are no longer playing around with the police departments. We are about to start striking fear, shooting down all cops that we see by themselves. Let us catch you by yourself."
Yeah.
And shots fired.
This is really becoming a big thing.
Yeah.
There are a lot of anti-police groups out there that are talking about this kind of crap, and it's really scary.
And then,
I don't want to sound racist, but I think a white dude wrote this because he said, "You guys, hey, it's time that you guys know that we're here." I can't imagine like any other type of person.
So you're
would
saying
say,
that
"You guys."
minorities would say y'all?
Yeah, I would think that, like,
this is even more racist than anything I've heard recently.
no,
Peter, you guys is not our word. That's not our word. Anybody can use you guys.
Yeah, but they
What do you
don't.
mean,
It's not
you
exclusive to
people?
white people.
They don't. It's somebody who speaks
Okay,
English.
moving on.
No, we don't have to move on.
No,
Why are you afraid of hate mail all of a sudden?
Jake, I want to sit on this for a second because it is really important that we talk about this. This is a really big deal.
Yeah,
And I mean, go ahead, Peter.
I guess the question, the serious question is, we're hearing a lot more about police being shot, especially here in even Louisiana. I think we had like 2 or 3 people shot in the past couple of months here, or police shot. And my question was, is this, and I know John feels the same way, are there actually more cops being targeted nowadays or recently, or is it just being played up more in the media? And I
saw like kind of dovetailing with like that, Pete. Like there's like somebody else put a study out about like is our perception that it's more dangerous for cops now, or is it actuality that it is more dangerous and there's more cops actually being targeted? And like that seems to be like a question that's also out there. Is like, is it hype or is it truth?
Well, and the result of both is fewer people wanting to get into it, which is even more dangerous long term.
Yeah, it's a bad time to be a cop right now. That's a fact. But I'm not sure. From what I've heard from some police people, I'm not sure. It's just anecdotal, but it seems like it's a little bit of both. Like maybe it's not as bad as they make it seem, but it's worse than it has historically been. But maybe it's being played up a little in the media, which I'm just curious as how this is going to be resolved. Like, is it going to continue to escalate, or is it going to de-escalate? Like, what is the resolution to this? Clearly, there's a lot of people who don't trust the way the police are operating, and I don't know if they're going to change a little bit, or if it's going to continue to downward spiral until who knows.
I think
look at it like this. Like,
go ahead, Nate.
Like, I'm sorry. Like a lot of the people that the cops have like killed, or it's been like a controversial thing, like Freddie Gray or the Ferguson thing, or like Trayvon Martin. It's like like with the exception of Trayvon Martin, because I don't think he had a criminal record yet, because he was too young. But it seemed like he was going down that path. That was the direction he was heading in. Like the kid wasn't exactly a Boy Scout, right? But anyway, like what I mean to say is like these are bad dudes with criminal records that get killed by police, and then it gets pushed in the spotlight. So, like, what happens when it's this like a really like beloved member of society that gets killed in a tragic, police shooting or whatever it might be, like a dead. The police were 100% wrong, 100%. There's no question about it. Like if we get riots and looting and police being targeted over like smaller events, what's going to happen when a larger event happens? Like if this is a reaction that people have to like scumbags dying in police custody or getting killed by police when they already have a long criminal record, what's going to happen when like if somebody shot Al Sharpton right now, what would happen?
I don't think anybody.
Al Sharpton is a scumbag, but also I don't really think that. I mean, not to say that it couldn't happen, but I don't see it happening. And the thing is, what they're doing is making these, you're saying these kids are not Boy Scouts, right? And some of them do have criminal records. I mean, I think Michael Brown's was pretty, I mean, I don't want to say it without knowing for sure, but I know that some of these people have had significant rap sheets, right? But they're made out to be these innocent bystanders and poor, targeted by the cops when, I mean, the media just makes up these narratives, that are absolutely ridiculous, or they follow into, whatever Black Lives Matter, wants to push. And so I don't really see cops doing that. I don't see that happening to, somebody who's truly not doing anything wrong. I think cops are much more vigilant than that. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, and y'all know more of them than I do. But
yeah, but I'm saying like mistakes happen. Like every organization has that proverbial 10% that should not be doing the job, right? Like that's just a fact. Like there's 10% of doctors should not be doctors. 10% of cops should not be cops.
Pilots.
There's 10% of pilots that should not be pilots. Right? So every organization that has those people that slip through the cracks that should not be there. So that means like mistakes will be made. My whole thesis on this is like what happens when a larger or a worse event happens than what already has. What are people's reaction going to be then? Will there be more riots? Will there be more honestly people hunting down cops because they're angry at the world and all law enforcement officers as a whole are the cause of that pain?
Like a Boston.
Like I don't know. It's like to me, like a Boston, yeah, something like that. Like to me, this is a scary time to be alive. Like I thought we moved past all this nonsense. I thought like we were above this in 2015. That we don't need LA riot type things happening. But apparently wrong when we see Baltimore start to burn or Ferguson start to burn. And then my thing is like this isn't this like a Black Lives Matter type thing either, because there's plenty of white people and Asian people and Hispanic people that hate cops as much as anybody else. So what I mean to say is like it's this really weird trend right now where it's cool to hate cops, and it's cool to hate cops enough that people are getting a little bit brazen and bold with their threats and their actions. That's the worst part, their actions.
So you posed a question earlier of how do we affect this? How do we affect change here? I think the biggest problem that we're up against is that this is an educational thing. This is a perspective, a societal perspective. The people that are after cops are looking at it like this person took something away from me, a part of my community. Even if that person was bad, they feel attached to that person. They put that person on a pedestal because they were killed by a police officer. And it seems as though there's a huge lack of education because stupid people think things like that.
Well, I mean, you said because this person was bad, and that's really a perspective of the person.
Right,
so just because somebody sells drugs to us, we consider them bad.
No.
Community,
Let me finish. They could be doing great things for the community, spending their drug money on the community, whatever. But, it's not about whether they're good, they're bad, whatever. The problem is that there is no person of influence educating people on what is good and bad. It's just It's just these little communities going, oh, something changed. I'm gonna freak out. They're not giving me my money anymore. I'm not. These impoverished, undereducated neighborhoods are the core of this stuff. This is where this stuff breeds and grows when people are undereducated and underfunded. Whether that's through their own.
I would like to put. I agree with John. I agree with John on this, and I will go as far as to say that there's poor white people in the ghetto. There's poor Hispanic people in the ghetto.
It transcends race all day.
It transcends race. It's not a racial thing as much as it is that like I'm poor and I commit crimes and I'm a scumbag and I live a crappy life, and I find it easier to victimize other people than to go to get an education or get a job or be a productive member of society. It's that whole 100% entitled mentality that people have.
Right.
That's the thing. That's a cultural thing that I don't think we're capable of changing right now. That's something that you change for decades, not quickly.
We need somebody that is a position of influence in that demographic. The undereducated need a representative from their community that they feel like they attach to influence them, and those figureheads have been there, right? There have been people along the roads that have been anti-violence, and they've done great things for the nation as a whole. But without that
what
person,
you're saying is we need.
Go ahead.
We need somebody like a community organizer from Chicago. Is that the answer? we need to get somebody like a community organizer for those disadvantaged people to step forward and be their voice.
We need somebody
with
a brain.
Well,
no, we need people to realize that there's value in human life, and that when you do bad things happen as a result. Like, that's what I'm saying. This is more of a cultural problem for this country than anything.
Well, Peter had a great point about what is bad and what is not bad is based on perspective and how you were brought up.
Hey, like Shakespeare said, like there is no good or bad, only thinking makes it so, right? Like one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. Like, I understand that more than anybody, right? Sure. What I'm saying is that like that doesn't make it any more right. Like when it's bad things, like things that like we can all universally agree, or you can go to another country and run, hey, let me run this by you. Is this a bad thing? That like most of the world will agree is bad, like rape, murder, molesting children, stealing, like burglary, all like things that are universally bad. We can all agree are mostly bad. Like, that's a no-brainer. But what I'm saying is it's a cultural thing. Like, we can't, there's no, like, let's elect somebody and they're going to take care of all of our problems. Or let's sign a petition and the problem will go away. There's no quick fix to this. This is something that will take decades to fix in this country, and we're not willing to fix it, so it's never going to change.
That's exactly why these areas are that way, because they elect people to fix their circumstance in life. Give them more on their, EBT cards or whatever.
Dude, that is a great point. They don't elect people to affect change. They elect people that make their lives better through, entitlements.
Free iPhones, free, whatever. More.
Look at
they don't elect leaders. They elect people that just give them stuff.
When you're a little kid, who's your favorite babysitter? The one that lets you stay up to midnight eating ice cream, or the one that makes you like eat your vegetables and go to bed at 9 o'clock? What I'm saying is like,
who's hotter?
That's the real question, right?
Don't roll your eyes.
But like, what I mean to say is like,
it's such a
but like that's the thing is it's like they like people like, for example, like we were talking about like Baltimore. So Baltimore is a great example of this because they've traditionally voted exclusively 100% across the board Democrat for their city council and for all their elected officials in the city of Baltimore, and then the residents, because they are consistently voting Democrat, they always vote for Democratic presidents and so on and so forth, right? So the thing is, it's like they're electing people and putting people in positions of power that say, no, everything's okay, you guys are good, we agree with you, it's not your fault. They're not going to ever elect somebody that tells them that they're wrong and they need to change and that they need to help me create this change. That's never going to happen, because that's what it is. It's like you're choosing between the babysitter lets you stay up to midnight eating ice cream, which is like, yeah, that's fun, but it's not good for you. in comparison, like the babysitter makes you eat your vegetables and reads you a bedtime story and tucks you in at 9 o'clock. That's not
Here's
fun.
an
That's not
interesting
cool.
comparison.
That's a better thing.
Turned on right now.
I mean, you're saying babysitter. What if it's babysitter versus parent? Like a leader could be a parent, and the babysitter is just somebody that's there to watch over you. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to look at this, and that's spot on, man. People,
but those are
be fed.
These are what I'm saying is that generally these are the same communities where people aren't parents either, though. Right. Like they're not involved in their children's lives. They don't encourage their children to do the best that they can in school. They don't keep their children from selling drugs or getting involved in gang violence or being bad. Because it's institutional inertia in the sense that like half the time children grow up to be scumbags. It's because their parents are scumbags too. That's not to say that like you're guaranteed to turn out to be a scumbag. I'm just saying it increases the likelihood.
And the real problem here is that we have generations and generations of people that their whole life is a life of dependency on government help, government, everything, housing, food, you name it, healthcare. Generations now, it's just expected that government's gonna
I mean, like if I go down on the beach with if I go down on the beach with like a bag of French fries, the seagulls are like, "Hey, let me get those French fries. Those are my French fries." I'm like, "No, seagulls, they're my French fries. Get out of here!" But it's because the seagulls have gotten so used to being fed that they assume that those French fries aren't my French fries. Those are French fries for them. Like I'm just saying, if I go to the beach and I see signs saying "Don't feed the seagulls," I go to parks and it says "Please don't feed the animals," because they don't want them to become dependent on that food. Like, how is it any different for human beings? Like, when you get a free ticket, why would you do anything to cancel it out for yourself?
It's funny because if you made that statement like on the news, essentially comparing people to animals, you would be lambasted. And I get it.
Like we are animals, though.
Right.
Like,
but
at the end of the day, we're just
get offended by crap like that, and it's really interesting because they want you to dehumanize as much as possible, but the second you say something like that humans are animals, suddenly you're the bad guy in that scheme, and it's very interesting.
Like the thing is, like, people didn't have arguments about like this before, like 100 years ago when we didn't have electricity and the internet and telephones. Like what I mean to say is like the irony that the more interconnected we are and the more information we have at our fingertips, the less we use it, or we use it for negative things instead of positive things. Like I just don't understand, because it's like here's the thing: like 100 years ago, if some dude got shot by the cops in San Francisco and you lived in Philadelphia, you never heard about it. That news did not cross the nation for you to be outraged about. Like, maybe you heard a story about some dude that got shot by the police or something like years later, but now it's like information travels at the speed of light. That's why we have things like flash mobs, because we have smartphones. Like, what I'm saying is, like, all this technology that we have is supposed to make things better. In reality, it just makes it easier for people to be outraged and get organized and do negative things, but they never use that same technology to do positive things prior or after.
I just don't want to think about all the firewood I'd have to chop to run a Google Hangout 100 years ago.
A lot of smoke signals.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. So I think we need to skip on down to the full auto news section if we're going to get anything done tonight. So as always, there's way too many stories to cover. Check out thisweekinguns.com/133 to see all the other awesome stories we have here that we couldn't get to.
I see one from Murr.
All right. Well, you can now contribute to the Firearms Radio Network and This Week in Guns by shopping our Amazon affiliate link by clicking the Amazon banners on the website or bookmarking firearmsradio.tv/Amazon. And I found that one book that you guys mentioned by Jim Cirillo. I have it linked to the affiliate link. It's about halfway down in the show notes. Guns, Bullets, and Gunfights, Lessons and Tales from a Modern-Day Gunfighter. And he also has a few other books like Tales of the Stakeout Squad, Really, really amazing dude. Really, I've heard some of his stories recounted, and some of the gunfights he's been in, just nuts.
Yeah, and like bear in mind, like modern gunfighting, like Jim Cirillo is an old school guy. Like he was like an old school cop. So like by modern, he there's nobody for him to turn to. There's no information available. The internet didn't exist yet when he started collecting data and writing down his own observations from his own very personal events that he survived. So like some of it, like a lot of people criticize now because like we've learned so much and we've gotten better at collecting data and analyzing that data that we collect. But for me, like I read that book like I think maybe when I was like 20 or 21, like when I was a young Marine and like the war was looming or whatever. But it still has, I mean, I think it still has some merit. There's still a lot of value. It's like reading old stuff from Jeff Cooper, you know, like obviously we all know like, you know, firearms technology is advanced and the modern technique is advanced from what Jeff Cooper created. But it's good to know where the origin of these things are, where we came from. And Jim Cirillo is part of that. He's part of the reason, like, you know, people study these things. They study gunfights to learn, you know, lessons learned, both positive and negative.
Absolutely. So, full auto news segment. This is where we talk about stories the real media won't talk about and other crazy stuff. Each of the hosts picks a story to call their own. Is anyone ready? Prepped?
I am.
All right, go for it, Peter.
I'm split between farmer urinating in fields left in agony after snake bites him on the penis, or woman gets to hiding a gun in her vagina after meth arrest. Some genital. I think this one actually has a gun in it, so even though the one uses the word bulbous, I'm gonna go with this one. All right, so these two women, 30 and 31-year-old, were stopped in Waco. Way to go, Waco! Again in the news.
I went to school in Waco, so yeah. Woohoo! So proud. Keep going.
They found 2.7 grams of meth hidden under a driver's seat and 29.5 grams hidden in one of the ladies' purses and 2 digital scales. They're en route to the jail, and I quote, Casenta told one of the officers that she had a pistol in her vag, period. Officers immediately stopped, and the female officer checked her, and sure enough, it was there. A 22 caliber Smith & Wesson pistol with a round in chamber and full magazine. And it goes on, and they were arrested and blah 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 blah. It's not uncommon for women to hide guns in their vaginas. In fact, in the 2 years, there's been at least 3 handguns found in vaginas.
Oh my gosh, I can't.
It's like, hey baby, is that pistol hot? Why is there's a round?
I mean, it brings a whole new meaning to cocked and locked, right?
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I think you have to timestamp that. I think you have to timestamp that yourself.
Where's the thing?
It's like hearing your parents curse for the first time.
Where's the thing?
That was so timestamp worthy. I can't even handle it right now. You have to timestamp yourself.
There it is. There it is.
Oh, that hurt my ears.
Right. So can we get a lady's perspective on this now?
I mean, I got nothing. Like, I don't really even know. I'm so grossed out by it on so many levels, and also just ow! Like, what is going on that you can actually get something like that up there?
So, do we suspect
you're about to have a baby come out? It's significantly larger than.
Yeah, that's bigger than my.
That's like
bigger than my PPAT.
That's temporary.
If your baby's 7 pounds, it weighs more than my rifle.
Thanks for that, Peter. I'm super stoked.
Yeah, I mean, like there are always, it's almost always little guns in these stories. It's like a little pocket pistol, but I guess it's not a pocket pistol.
I don't care.
A prison pocket.
Oh God. So
prison pocket.
Are we anticipating Kydex vagina holsters? Is that what's coming?
It's like the boob thing. The boob one that the lady
shot. No. The boob one is
like a brawl holster. Yeah.
The brawl holster. The flashbang. Yeah.
I can't wait for SHOT Show to see that. I might go to SHOT Show then. I don't want to see
Okay, moving on. Who's next?
I'll
you
take
put it
one.
up there.
I guess I'll go. Like, there's a lot of good stories, so I definitely recommend everybody go check it out because I know we're going to be able to talk about them all. But I saw this earlier in the week that Nerf kicks off a 70-mile-per-hour gun series with detachable magazines, right? So these are like almost like Nerf guns for grown-ups. And I don't know about you guys, but like I haven't lost my inner child. So when somebody picks up a Nerf gun, I start looking around for a Nerf gun to shoot them with, right? But so these things are designed to be a little bit more powerful as far as like higher velocity. They still shoot like foam, so they're not going to hurt anybody, right? But the funny thing is like they're touting their one model has a 7-round detachable clip. They call it a clip. It's not a magazine. It's a clip, right? The Nerf engineers are like, no, it's a clip, right? But the thing is, like, they have one model that holds 12 rounds of, like, 12 rounds. Like, literally rounds, because they're foam balls.
Oh!
but they have another one that holds... they have another one that holds seven projectiles, right?
So that's
New
York
I like
legal.
to see that... Yeah, I was going to say, it's New York. One, it's New York legal, and two, in 2015... In 2015, Nerf finally caught up with 1911 technology with their 7-round clip.
I just want to say that I'm going to try to make this happen when Peter Palma and Nate Murr and myself get together. I'm going to try to get us a whole bunch of these things, and we're going to go to town and shoot each other with Nerf guns, and hopefully film it.
You have to.
Like, when me and Pete lived together,
we need a GoPro.
Yeah, GoPro. When me and Pete lived together, I think we had as many Nerf guns as we had real guns in our apartment.
You know what my favorite thing ever with Nerf guns is? When guys modify them and hook them up to like car batteries, the electric ones, and they either make them fire way faster or way harder, and they'll like break glass and super. You know, they'll do like 300 rounds a minute, and this is incredible stuff. I love it.
I like when people like weaponize them.
Yeah.
Like when they weaponize them by like gluing like X-Acto knife blades onto the darts and stuff.
That sounds like the West Point pillow fight.
I can't believe you didn't drink the beers for your dog. That's the best one. I can't believe you didn't get that.
I had that one up.
Okay,
Yeah.
who's next?
Well, I mean, both the ones I was going to talk about got talked about, so I'm going to talk about there is now beer for your dog.
Yes.
It's non-alcoholic, non-carbonated, and it's meant specifically for your dog for some odd reason. There's a few. I mean, this is such a weird story. The headline is "These beers for dogs mean you'll never have to drink alone again." So there's whatever's in them. They say it's like specifically for dogs because if you feed them the wrong stuff, they can get really sick.
They have like chicken flavored beer and stuff.
Yeah, so I'm going to read off some of the brands because they're just hilarious. There's one from a brand called Snuffle, and the label says Snuffle Chicken, which is like the greatest name for a dog ever.
Snuffle Chicken?
Yeah, Snuffle Chicken. There's one that's just called Dog Beer. That's the classy one. Bowser Beer, and then you've got Dog Grog, which is just fantastic. I mean, the play on names is great. So, I mean... The cool thing is they make all kinds of neat stuff for dogs. You can get like name tags for them, tactical gear. You can get goggles for them and all that, and dress them up like a Navy SEAL. And now you can also give them a beer when the mission's over.
Very cool.
So you're not supposed to give regular beer to dogs?
Apparently, I have. I mean, if that's the case, then my dog growing up, yikes.
Like my dog, like if I like sit down a beer, he'll run up and like knock it over just so he can drink it. Like he loves beer. I'm like, no, not for puppies. He's like this rebellious teenager right now. So you're not the boss of me. I do what I want. I'm gonna drink your beer, old man.
I think the problem is the yeast and that sort of stuff in the beer that gives them intestinal problems. I'm not positive though.
What about scotch? Are they allowed to drink scotch? Because he also likes to do that.
Definitely scotch, yeah.
Like, I'm starting to worry my dog's like an alcohol. Like my dog's like taking after its master. Is taking after me. So.
You might have a problem when your dog drinks more than you do. All right, Natalie, what do you have?
I love this Mythbusters episode on dodging a Star Wars laser bolt because it's Mythbusters and it's Star Wars, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, they build out. It's just so cool. They build out this whole, hallway from the Death Star, and it's just a little bit genius. Did you guys watch this video? It's hilarious. And I will say, I mean, do we have some Mythbusters fans? Are you guys Mythbusters fans? Because I'm kind of a nerd.
Not. I'm not really. I avoid people in berets. It's kind of like a policy I have in life.
I like that they disproved Carlos Hathcock. I've been trying to do that for decades now.
I'm a total nerd, and I absolutely love that show. Even though they get things wrong, especially when it comes to guns, the terminology they use.
Oh yeah, the gun stuff is almost. Well, a lot of the gun stuff they get wrong. Yeah.
I know they live in San Francisco, but they are pretty great. Now I do miss the other three. Carrie, Tori, and oh my gosh, now I'm forgetting.
Which one is the hot one?
It's Carrie, Tori, and Grant.
Grant, thank you. Yeah, it was Carrie, and they fired her. She once wore my necklace on an episode.
Was that the hot redheaded chick?
Yes.
Yeah, she was gorgeous.
Yeah, that's the only part of the show I liked.
I love her. I miss her.
Girl's...
She was so good. Anyway, but this is, if you haven't watched it, you got to watch the video. It's great. They do an awesome job, and as they note, hang on, I just lost it. It says, good thing they aren't testing the actual 1,200 feet per second 9mm Sterlings the Stormtrooper blaster was based from, or the actual speed of light itself, as lasers typically travel. Yes, that's true. So, all right, it's not plausible, but it is just fun. This is good times. I love it when people, it's almost as cool as the Nerf. Actually, they do use Nerf guns in here, so, this is the best of both worlds. I love it. Great.
I don't understand. It's like, how did we used to have all this advanced technology a long time ago? Like, what happened to it? How did we lose all this information and all this technology that we used to have?
Because it was in a galaxy far
away, long time ago.
Oh.
Hadrian's Wall. Who built this?
All right, Jake, you're up.
Oh, there's so many good ones. I don't know. The drunk guy that has a pal shoot him in the ear with a nail gun.
Oh, that.
No. Okay.
Yeah, I mean.
You can choose it. You can choose it. It's just that freaks me out.
This is supposed to be one where you choose, Jake.
Oh, I choose. Okay, Rock Hill.
You choose it. We'll choose for you.
This was sent to me by a listener. Rock Hill man assaults woman with chia pet.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's true anger.
Yeah. Yeah, is accused of throwing a chia pet potted plant at the woman and spitting in her face. Hit her in the arm. I'm not seeing here what style chia pet it was. Was it like a Homer Simpson chia pet?
I would like to know that too, and I would like to point out that this just proves that anything can be a weapon. In fact, I'd like to put this on the statistics, FBI crime statistics.
I'm glad we have chia pet registration in Illinois. So.
Right.
Who buys chia pets? Honestly, how are chia pets still a thing? Who is buying these things? Have any of you ever owned a chia pet?
I don't know if on my Amazon business I sold a few.
My buddy was a pothead, and I got it to him to throw a pot in.
Wow.
I
have seen the chia pets. Have you seen the Duck Dynasty beard chia pets? I think that's kind of genius.
Oh.
I respect that.
I'm looking through the Google image search results for chia pet, and there is such things as a Mr. T one. I don't know if that's real. The Duck Dynasty, Kermit the Frog, some characters. Apparently there was a SpongeBob one, Bart Simpson, and a bunch of other really, really off ones that I don't know.
It's the same kind of people that buy pet rocks. You know what I mean? I don't understand the appeal of the chia pet. How about you just get a regular house plant like a grown up instead?
Wait, I missed this one. This one was the headline of the day on our Firearms Radio Network Facebook page. Police say man with no hands and no legs is armed and on the run.
I saw that.
Yeah, that was just the best headline ever.
I guess you didn't see the no-handed shooter on Instagram. That dude can outshoot probably all of us, and he's got no hands.
That kid's a pretty good shot.
Yeah,
Hey, actually, like there's like one other story I want to talk about real quick because this is an interesting point. So, Australia police flabbergasted by 20 gun collection left behind. So this dude died, right? And like they went and found his body or whatever in his house, and they also found, a bunch of firearms, right? So the whole thing is like Australia banned semi-automatic rifles and stuff after this massacre in 1996, and a total knee-jerk reaction, which resulted with over 700,000 guns being like
melted down,
turned in the police. Yeah, melted down, right? Yeah. So apparently this dude is like, nah, I'm not gonna do that, right? So like he had guns like an SKS and a Ruger 1022 and an M1 carbine. Pump shotguns were banned in that also. So the dude was an 88-year-old man, right? And upon death, they went and got all of his guns. Like somebody discovered it and didn't know what to do, so they called the police, right? So the thing is, they're making a big deal about this because of like the registry or the gun turn-in. Like there's a picture of like two cops looking all serious, like they actually did something. Like, yeah, we got these guns off the street. You know, we have a whole shopping cart full of guns that are off the street now. Like the thing is, so in 1996, the Australian government is like, sorry, but you can't own guns anymore. You guys can't own guns like this. You got to turn them in. Here's a dude that's like, no, I'm not going to do that. You want me to turn in my guns? No, I'm not going to do it. So he never turned in all these illegal guns, these illegal pistols. And the thing was that they were legal. They were originally his guns back in the day, and then after 96, like he went from being a legal law-abiding citizen to the law changing, and all of a sudden his guns are illegal, and now he's a felon. So he just never turned them in. But like they're making a big deal about it, like they're flabbergasted that somebody then turned in their 20 gun collection. They're calling it a massive collection, a massive 20 gun collection. Like if they think 20 guns is a massive collection, then my house looks like an ordnance museum. You know?
Yeah, like, and don't you love too some of these lines? Quote, these guns here are upper level. They don't come any more serious than this. And literally, we're talking Ruger 1022.
But the thing, and M1 carbine, 1940s technology. That's great. Right. But the thing is, what I say is like the dude was we didn't change the fact that the guy was an 88-year-old man when he died, and he's had them since 1996. And since 1996, that 88-year-old man, that man never took those evil, dangerous guns and did anything wrong with them. He just refused to obey the law. That was a stupid law. He's like, I'm not gonna do that. No, I'm gonna keep my guns. You can't take my guns. Like one day I'm not a felon, and the next day I am because you changed the law. Because some madman went and shot up, and killed some innocent people. More reason to have guns. I'm gonna keep mine. But yeah, like that whole article reeks with anti-gun, typical fear-mongering nonsense that should be expected. But anyway, I thought it was an interesting story in that. So.
Yeah, and the last line of that is great too. It says, and that's just the ones they know about. They're talking about another gun owner too, but it's a good point. I mean, how many other Australians out there have done that? And I mean, I'm sorry, this is human nature. This is what we're going to do. Why should we listen? I mean, for all the points that Nate just laid out. And then one other one that I wanted to talk about really quickly was Dan Bilzerian, who.
Hang on, let me just stop.
Oh, sorry. Here. Okay.
No, I want you to cover that one. I ran out of room on my SD card on my recorder, so.
Okay. So we're not recording right now? I can say whatever I want?
No, we're still, we're live. Okay, Natalie.
Come on, Peter. Timestamp the hell out of this episode.
Jake already did that for us, so we're good.
Okay, Natalie.
Yeah, so guns.com article again, Dan Bilzerian, who has a ridiculous Instagram following. I don't recommend you following him if you don't already. But if you do know who he is.
If you hate fun, don't follow him. Like if you hate seeing a millionaire playboy surrounded by strippers and really cool guns, then do not follow him. It'll just make you feel bad about your own life.
Okay, so yeah, he's more of a Nate, John, a Peter, I don't know, maybe Jake likes him too, guy than he is my guy. Not really.
I never said I liked the guy. I just said that the guy, like, it's always crazy things. Like, his life is amazing. Like, if somebody gave Peter Palma like $20 million, is probably how it would go down.
That's probably true.
That's valid. That's true.
It would just be like hot chicks everywhere and flying around in my private
girls
jet.
and not those fake girls.
Yeah, wouldn't it be all like the bleached blonde LA
Peter,
girls?
how soon into your $20 million lifestyle would you be throwing women off of rooftops into pools?
Oh my gosh!
First of all, Peter's broken. Peter's broken. He already does that.
Yeah, I know. I kind of am like slowing down a little bit when it comes to that type stuff. So.
Okay.
So the point is of this particular article is that he's out of town. He goes, he lives in LA, right? He goes to visit. I mean, I just skimmed this, but from what I got from it is that he's out of town, and a couple of guys break into his house. And then, I mean, he is very, very, very public about his gun collection, right? I mean, if you click on the article, you'll see it says my office is a bit of a mess, and I mean, he's got a couple dozen awesome ARs, and I mean, that's what.
He's got a Barrett.
Yeah, there's a Barrett on the back wall. It's rad. Anyway, but of course he gets broken into, and let me see. He apparently had a next level security on the vaults, and they left empty-handed. But you know what? Not all of us can afford that. And anyway, it's just a good cautionary tale, I think, because whatever you put on social media is being watched by bad guys who want your stuff. So
that's true.
Even Dan Bilzerian is going to get targeted.
I know you want to.
He has enough money to, like, when they find those guys that broke into his house, like, he'll just wait and then they'll disappear one day.
Yeah. A bunch of beers will just show up and.
Gone.
I know you want to wrap up, but we were talking a little bit about the problems, and it's kind of more of like not like a shooting cop issue, but a general issue. There's a really cool thing on Netflix called The House I Lived In. It talks about the war on drugs, and it touches on a lot of the things. It sums it up, and it's almost from like what you consider a liberal perspective. But if you keep an open mind, it kind of gives you just a different perspective than you're used to, and it's not like an excuse really for anything, but it really kind of is like an hour and 43 minutes long of, kind of giving a perspective from the ghetto. Because if you're like OPP, if you've never been to the ghetto, then you wouldn't understand the ghetto. Don't ever come to the ghetto. And like, to be honest with you, I've never lived in the ghetto. I don't understand it. I have no idea. I'm a white dude. I lived in a trailer park, so I have no idea what it's like there. But it's kind of like a nice little thing about it, and it gives you an overall view and maybe a little bit softer approach to, like, we should just shoot at them, which is probably not the best option. So.
Hey, what's the title again?
The House I Lived In. So it's on Netflix. So if you have it, it's free to watch.
Cool. All right, I'll wrap this up. Last story of the evening: Ronda Rousey to star in Roadhouse reboot.
As right. Patrick Swayze? Is she playing Patrick Swayze?
Because he died, right?
Yeah, he did. He died a few years ago.
That would
to a roundhouse face to a roundhouse face kick to the face. Or cancer, I can't remember which one.
Can we just talk about how awesome
one of the
Ronda Rousey is? Ronda Rousey is awesome on so many levels.
Why? Because she's a professional fighter.
I think she's really classy.
I mean, like, she's an athlete. She's an athlete to me, and it's like the same as every other athlete. Like, my local garbage man does more for me than any professional athlete ever has. So as far as hero worship goes in this country, it's like, yeah, it's cool that like she fought a fight that nobody thought she was gonna win and stuff, but like I want somebody like, hey, somebody outside of Peter, I want somebody to name 10 Marines or soldiers that died in the War on Terror. Like, name 10 that died over. You didn't, I know, but what I'm saying is, like, most people can't even name 10 servicemen that died in a decade-long war.
It's not related.
We
Come
can
on,
name,
I mean, seriously.
But we can name all these sports stars, like, nonstop. Like, I'm saying hero worship is a different thing. Like, so, like, I think she's a cool lady. I think she's, like, a really good fighter, but, like, I'm just not on the bandwagon that everybody else is, that, like, she's, like, God's gift to the world or something. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's a little far for anybody, any of these athletes to be worshipped that way. I think it's a valid point. still, I think she's cool, and she's a good role model for a lot of little girls, you know.
And she shoots.
It's teaching little girls to solve their problems with their fists.
Yes. And
Oh,
feet.
come on.
You know what's really exciting is that there's potential to remake a movie, much like the Karate Kid was remade with a female lead. This will be, perhaps a remake of Roadhouse with a female lead, and this has potential to just be as awful as the Karate Kid remake.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
The thing is, if you walk into a Roadhouse type bar on the side of a road, and there's a female bouncer, like at the door, like guarding over everybody, like you don't really see that. That's not like reality. That doesn't happen at all.
Nothing about Roadhouse. You ever watched Roadhouse? Nothing about it was reality.
Let's also point out that if you did see
Those roundhouse kicks were reality.
if you saw a female bouncer at like a bar in the middle of nowhere, you would not mess with that woman
No.
at all.
She's missing an eyeball.
I would ask her when her softball practice is. I'm like, hey, that Harley out in the parking lot, is that yours or is it the Subaru? What's your route?
I know that I can beat you up, and I'm 99.99% certain Ronda Rousey can beat me up. So,
I know that. I'm not making fun of the lady. I'm just making fun of the movie.
I would really like to see Peter Palma beat up Nate.
no.
Like it's a reoccurring thing, so you don't have to worry about that. You'll probably get your chance.
All right. Well, you can
I
support
won't do that.
shows like This Week in
Again.
Guns via our Patreon campaign, patreon.com/week. Easy way for you to crowdfund every episode by pledging $1 to $5 per episode. You can also support the Firearms Radio Network as a whole at patreon.com/FRN. And this episode is brought to you by Patriot Patch Company, patriotpatch.co. We have a new pre-order up for the In God We Trust morale patches as well. So patriotpatch.co. And that about wraps us up. So Peter Palma, what's up? MS Clean Kits?
Our injection mold dies for the double. We had the lid was really loose and sloppy, so we had to make an adjustment and do all this stuff. So that's why it's taking so long. But it is on its way to my injection molder as we speak. And so I'm going to start, once they're all made, I'm going to start packaging them all up because I got a better job offer. So I pulled what do you call that show? What was that movie with Jennifer Aniston?
Office Space.
Office Space, but they didn't promote me; they just fired me, and so now I have some time off, and I'll be sending that out to everybody.
Very cool. Where can people connect with you online?
CLINKITS. Miss Clean Kits. It's not Miss Cleaning Kits, though we do own that one as well. But just mscleankits.com or just Google MS Clean. Miss Clean.
Very cool. Nate Murr, Gripstop, you've been writing some articles too. What's going on in your world?
The fall's looking pretty busy for me. I got a bunch of projects going on right now, so I'm gonna be traveling quite a bit next month or two. But I'm going to have, September? So next month there's going to be an article in the new issue of Off Grid that I wrote about survival course I went to. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, but yeah.
Cool. Where can people connect with you online?
I guess the best thing for you to do is just go to Instagram and follow Gripstop. That's my personal / professional Instagram page. And since I hate Facebook, if you send me a Facebook message, there's a high likelihood that I'm not going to friend you or answer you or do anything like that. Because it's a dying platform is what it is. It's a dying platform. So Instagram, I think, is like the greatest social media outlet out there as far as any of that stuff goes. So that's the best. That's like the only one I use. That's where you get a hold of me. If it's important enough for you to talk to me, send me a message on Instagram.
Very cool. Natalie Foster, Girls Guide to Guns, Love at First Shots. What's up?
Well, in 8 days, season 2 of Love at First Shot is coming out, so we're excited about that. Julie Golub, my good friend, and I are we're kind of I host She Instructs because, as you guys know, I'm about to pop with this little one, and I have not been on the range since January, so I'm pretty lonely for the gun range. But anyway,
She's good people.
She's great people. I am very, very proud to be affiliated with her in any way, and consider myself lucky to be her friend. But anyway, yeah, that mainly. And then, okay, one thing that I'm really excited about, the fall issue of John Wayne Magazine called and did an interview. We did an interview a few weeks ago, and I am pretty stoked about it because they have figured out, as it turns out, women like guns, and they're starting to get into it. So, so they wanted to interview me about that, but I'm really, really stoked just to be in John Wayne Magazine. So
That's really cool.
Thank you. I'm really, really stoked about it. When I read the email, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. It's like, it's as good as an Oscar in my book. I'm very, very happy. But anyway, between that, Love at First Shot, and then you can find me at Girls Guide to Guns, of course. Facebook, Instagram. I prefer Instagram as well. I echo everything Nate just said. And then I might be a little MIA for a while because I got 3 weeks until this little one makes an appearance. So
Until your M4 carbine pops out?
Yeah. Well, what weighs 8.5 pounds? Because that's really what we're looking at.
That's 1 gallon of water.
It's 1 gallon of, yes, I tried that. 1 gallon of milk weighs the same, roughly.
Oh.
So if you try to drink a gallon, if you want to know what it's like to be pregnant instantly, try to drink a gallon of milk in like, just sit and just drink. And it's like a baby's inside you pushing out.
That's also a very good way to vomit.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. What is
being,
a gallon
being pregnant?
Yeah, no, right. A gallon of milk in under an hour is like guaranteed vomiting, right? It's too basic or something.
It's like I said, it's like imagine, see how pregnant you are right now? Imagine you conceived the child and then instantly you were that big.
Yeah, no.
It's rough.
10 months of this is enough. So anyway, yeah. So thanks for having me on. It was fun to catch up with you guys.
Very cool. So, John, Patton Media Consulting, the Gun Collective, this thing that's exploding on the internet.
The Gun Collective is doing really well, gaining a lot of traction. A lot of people are finding out that, hey, there is something new to the firearms world, and the Gun Collective is it. I'm really, really proud to be hosting something that nobody's ever done before. And it's awesome. We're gonna add some new people on hopefully soon, and just expand and grow, and try to keep doing what we're doing in lots of different ways. I just actually made an announcement yesterday. Those of you listening on a regular basis will remember Ebbs from House of Guns. He's actually going to help me during SHOT Show, which is going to be really cool. We're going to do some coverage of the show, and that's going to be amazing. And, more of the same, just rocking and rolling, lots of gun stuff, lots of hustling, trying to get a lot of stuff done. If you want to find me on the social medias, just search The Gun Collective. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, Periscope, Full30.com, YouTube.
Snapchat?
No, I'm not on Snapchat. I should be on Snapchat.
That's getting to be big now.
I can't figure out Snapchat. I just finally got Snapchat, and I can't figure out how to use it. I think I sent one message to Peter. Did you ever answer that, Pete?
Yeah. Didn't you get it?
I can't figure out how to read it.
It's like old men trying to figure out a computer.
It is. That's exactly what it's like.
It's kind of, you know how Facebook had all that stupid crap on it all the time, and you're so annoying, and you went to Instagram, and it was like it cut out all the fat, and it was just so much more condensed and distilled. Imagine doing that again on Snapchat. And it's great because nobody can react to it. You just post, there it is, and nobody can say anything. It's like, just shut up, you're stupid. Sit in your mom's basement and hear what I have to say, and you have no way to respond. There it is.
Like, how do people find you on Snapchat?
Yeah.
Magic.
All right.
Magic. Yep.
A wizard does it.
All right, that wraps us up. Leave your feedback by commenting on the bottom of this YouTube video or the bottom of the show notes at thisweekinguns.com/132. Leave us that iTunes review and contribute to the show by shopping our Amazon affiliate link.
Oh, and don't forget to send your hate mail.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like my first Snapchat was a crotch shot of Peter.
All right.
Peter sent me a crotch shot for 3 seconds.
Save it for the after show. Thank you, John.
Hey, Jake. Thank you for having me back on.
Thank you,
Me too.
Natalie.
Thanks, man. Good to see ya.
Thank you, Nate.
Always a great time. Thanks for having me on, Jake.
And thank you, Peter.
Yes.
That's all right. We'll see you next week.